Hold on a second, Sarah. I'm having some issue for Facebook. Okay. We are live. Good afternoon, everybody. I think I might be having an issue streaming to one of my profiles on Facebook, but it looks like it's working for my new home sales coach page and YouTube. So it's Coach's Corner again with Rick Storley from New Home Sales Coach, and every Wednesday at about 1 p.m. Central, I'll spend 10 minutes tackling a topic on marketing and selling new homes and remodeling projects. So please let me know if you are here and what business you're in. If you have a question or thought, I will definitely try to get to it during this episode. And if you're watching the recording, go ahead and leave a comment or a question. And if I use it in a future episode, I'll make sure you get the credit. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit here about what we're going to get into today. As obviously everyone's quite aware that we're in the middle of this pandemic, and it's brought in really a fundamental shift on how we're selling new homes and even remodeling projects. Yeah, believe it or not, people are selling remodeling virtually. But not only did people are they researching for their new homes online, but now the sales process, a lot of it has moved online as well. So it's extended that sales process well into the virtual realm. And last month we started talking a lot about, hey, how do we generate online leads? And so this month we're actually going to move into how do we convert those online leads into sales ready prospects. And so if you missed any of the recordings from last month, you can go onto my Facebook page, you can go onto my YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and watch those videos, download my free tutorial, quadruple your online leads with these 4 pieces of website content, so you can get your website up and running and getting the leads that you need. So those are available on my New Home Sales Coach Facebook page and my Rick Storley YouTube account. So today we're moving into part 2, which is converting those online leads into sales ready prospects. And that's an important thing that I want everyone to understand here is that we're not going to convert online leads just to convert them. We're going to convert them so we can sell them. And so there's a big difference here. And it looks like that if you get online leads and you're just converting them to have appointments, you're just simply wasting a lot of time. So I brought in a special guest today, and that guest is Sarah Hubbard. And so I want to bring Sarah in here and add her to the stream. So hi, Sarah, welcome.
Hi, Rick, thank you.
So we're talking again about selling new homes online, 4 lessons learned from the pandemic. Sarah, you're with Forbes Capretto Homes in Buffalo, New York. And again, we really appreciate you being on today. But why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself and how long you've been doing what you've been doing?
So I've been with this company for a total of 6 years. I started just kind of as like an office assistant, assisting with the sales and design team. I started in the OSC position about 1.5 years ago now.
Okay, great. And so give us a little bit of background like on your day-to-day. So you've been doing it 1.5 years for OSC is Online Sales Concierge, if you're not familiar with the terminology. But approximately how many leads do you deal with each week, say on average?
We get anywhere from around 30 to 50 leads a week. That's, that could be through live chat, web inquiries, and the phone. So what I do is I'm just on 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week, and I'm just got my phone attached to me. I'm taking it the second it comes in. I'm trying to get them, any way of communication possible, replying to their email, taking their phone call, replying to web inquiries, just getting that lead and getting connected with them as fast as possible is really the most important part of it.
So it's fair to say that all of your marketing efforts, phone call, email inquiries, live chats, and all that, everything is filtering to you.
Yep, exactly. So we have different numbers for each community and stuff, but we use CallRail, call forwarding system. And so every call, no matter where it's coming in from, comes right into me.
And CallRail, for those of you that aren't familiar with that, it's a tracking service. So you get a local phone number that doesn't go anywhere, but it just tells you, like if you put it on a model sign or in an advertisement, how many people called it. So you know, you can kind of judge a return on investment if you're running ads.
Yep, exactly.
Now tell us a little bit about your role in the sales process.
So when I connect with the customer, what I do is I see myself more as like a nurturer. I try not to come off as sales pitch to them because, you know, when someone feels like someone's trying to sell something to them, they kind of go into panic mode. So what I do is I just kind of, you know, talk about their current living situation, what about it they don't like, what they would change, you know, what they're looking for in a new home. I go through basically the qualifying questions, area of interest, their budget, type of home they're looking for, and how soon they're looking to move. And, you know, as long as all of those line up with something that we can offer, I get them right over to a sales, get them scheduled, which is the biggest thing, get them an appointment scheduled to meet with the sales consultant for the appropriate community and get them right on to the next step as fast as possible.
And the next step for you is you turn them over to like an on-site salesperson.
Yep. So I'll do, you know, basic qualifying, you know, based off what they're looking for. In my head, I'll kind of, you know, make a note in the system. Like, I think this specific floor plan would fit them, you know, this home site, this community, so on and so forth. And then once they're over to the sales consultant, you know, they really dive deeper into what exactly they need and want. And I just kind of, you know, cover a general basis of what they're looking for.
Okay. All right. And do you have authority to, if you know somebody's not qualified, do you kick them out there, or do you still turn them over to the salesperson and say, I don't think they're going to, you know, fit, but, you know, give it a shot anyway?
No, I do it. And that is actually the worst part. Obviously I do it in a, you know, soft, loving manner. I just say, unfortunately, right now, what you're looking for is not something we offer. I do appreciate you considering us. If any A, B, or C circumstances change, you've got all means of communication to get in touch with me. Do not hesitate to reach out. And a lot of people are understanding of that. You know, there's not anybody that's, you know, backlash. How dare you say that to me? They get it, you know.
Sure. Okay.
Appreciate it. So.
All right. Well, that's just good to know from a sales perspective. So let's get into some questions here. And by the way, if you have a question for Sarah and you're watching here, whether it's live or after the recording, go ahead and type it into the chat box, and we're going to get to them at the end. But let's just start with, okay, March 15th. The world as we know it shuts down.
Yeah.
And you're in New York, where everyone's looking at New York City, like, because it looks like, you know, the entire city is going to be dead in a matter of days. Though, you know, the way the news is portraying things. You guys are a couple hours away in Buffalo. Your governor's on national news each day. What changed when that March 15th happened, and what was that impact of the pandemic, you know, on your role?
So ours was literally like a flip of a switch. Like, you know, we came in the morning, it was a normal work day. By the afternoon, it was pack up everything you think you'll need to work from home for an undetermined amount of time. And just like that, models were shut down, everything. We were still working, but, you know, obviously, like, you couldn't go into models and stuff like that. So any interest, even more so than it did to begin with, was all coming towards me. I was accounting for, you know, accounting for that walk-in traffic that wasn't happening. People still interested, but could only get in through phone calls and web inquiries. So I was now taking what was normally around like 45% of all inquiries. 100 was coming at me. The first 2 weeks was pretty quiet. I think everybody, you know, even us, we had to figure out how to adjust. And I think, you know, interested customers and stuff were kind of laying low, waiting to see what was going to happen. But then once, you know, they figured out it was more of a health scare than anything, it was just full force. I mean, some days that I'd be on a phone call, a web inquiry would be coming in, my phone would be dinging for a live chat coming in. It was just, they just came at me.
And that was about two weeks, so right around 1st of April?
Yep, exactly. And then it's just now very slowly starting to die down, but it was a consistent, you know, 4 or 5 months that I've been just all traffic. Right.
So essentially overnight, your workload double, or the amount of leads that you had to handle.
Yep, exactly.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as far as, so what did you do? I mean, obviously there's only one of you.
Right.
How did you handle all that extra workload?
Well, the major difference with those leads that were coming in is I was finding that they were the more serious buyers because they weren't afraid of what was going on around them. They knew that, interest rates were still low. They still had the money. This was still part of their plan. It kind of weeded out the people that, maybe wouldn't necessarily be qualified or were on the fence or weren't sure what they wanted to do. So it was the serious buyers. So I was still able to keep up with them, and I was able to just knock out those questions in 15 minutes, get them scheduled to move on to the next. And I didn't have any hold up or struggle or, trying to figure out whether these were actually good qualified leads. They were ready, they were eager, and they were, ready to go. So it was just, and everybody understood that, I'm like, all right, well, I'll get back to you. Let me check on this. I never left anybody hanging. I always made sure I just, at least touched base with them. And everyone was super understanding, and they wanted it. So they were patient with me too, which was huge.
Yeah, that is huge. And did you use any new technologies? Start using anything new?
Yeah. So beforehand, a qualifying appointment had to be in person, only in person. We didn't consider a qualified appointment over the phone. We didn't even speak of, FaceTime or any sort of technology like this. It was just not even something thought of, not objected against. It was just never an option presented. So we immediately switched over to, sometimes we'd even FaceTime with customers. And that's actually one thing that is still stuck. There are still people out there that aren't comfortable meeting face-to-face. So I do still give them that option. But we implemented, FaceTime, Zoom, any ways through camera or audio that we could right away. And it still gave you that personal connection because you're still seeing someone face to face, and kept everybody safe. And so we're like, we're not getting rid of this. This is a new thing for us we're keeping forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And ultimately you can go through the sales process a lot faster because it's a lot easier to put schedules together when you're doing something online.
Well, exactly. And they can still, we can share our screen. They can still see everything. We, presentations that we used to do in person with our customers, we just put into slideshows, and we just implemented so much more convenient technology, which is really so important. Everybody loves convenience. That's why Amazon's as big as it is, because it's a click of a button. This is just a click of a button for us too. And it's really generated so many more sales because it's such a convenient tool to have.
Yeah, I like that, convenience technology. That's a good term. Well, so let's get to our next question here is, you've been doing this a year and a half. So over that time, what's been your biggest challenge? Or maybe for somebody who's considering hiring an OSC or starting as an OSC, what's the biggest challenge to converting online leads?
I would say really, first off, having a sales team that understands and supports your position in the company is huge. I'm super fortunate to work with an awesome team that we have here, who, when they feel like they're not getting the first grab on them, a little hesitation at first. So I think that's huge. That hasn't been obviously a struggle at all, but it's an important point. But I would say just mostly, you'll get people who will tell me one thing, and then they'll sit down with a sales consultant, and it'll be two dramatic extremes, usually downward than it is up. But like I said, when they're in front of someone that they know is trying to sell them to something, they're a little more reserved on what they're actually willing to spend and what they have, money down wise. So you'll get some that, flip of a switch, huge story change right off the bat. And, so that's a little bit frustrating too.
Sure.
But, as far as like a challenge with converting the leads, it's really just making sure you're getting the right necessary information out of them to make sure they actually truly are qualified to move forward. Because you don't want to waste their time, and you don't want to waste my sales team's time too, because it's, they are swamped as it is, and you want to make sure that you're helping them make the most use of their time, really.
Do you notice any particular medium, like as the lead comes in, let's say you use phone, live chat, website, different website inquiries. Do you notice that any particular one converts better than the other? In other words, more serious people tend to do this.
Honestly, not really. I mean, I would say a phone call, because, if they're taking the time, because like I said, everybody just finds it easier to text. But honestly, if they're taking the time to fill out the web form or call or even send in a live chat, it's just, in my eyes, they're taking the time to do it. I wouldn't say one performs better than the other. I mean, we obviously get a ton more web inquiries. Sometimes I make a joke that, we have these forms right on our website, which has all of our, qualifying information, I guess, if you will, but you'll still get those people that send in a web inquiry and they're looking for 5 acres, 7 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and they only want to spend $100,000.
Yeah, right. We're never.
So you're just kind of like, you're on the website, like, but no, I wouldn't say one performs better than another. It's just, as long as you're asking the right qualifying questions, wherever that lead's coming from, how you qualify them is really the quality of them.
And I guess what it comes down to is everybody has a preferred method of communication, so you really can't judge one more than the other.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So let's talk about at this year and a half, and you were telling me a little bit before we started is where you started with and where you got to, but did you have that breakthrough moment, like that light bulb moment, or has it been more like a organic, progressive, I wouldn't use the word confidence, but also just where your conversions have gone up and up?
I mean, obviously, it was a confidence thing at first. I feared the phone for some reason, even though I was used to, taking calls, and I'd help out around here and, answer phones around here and stuff, but I've done a lot of training. I've gone out of town a couple times to different seminars and academies, and it's really just a confidence thing. And once I, instilled that in myself, that they're calling me and they're looking to me to help them, they're not fearing me. No reason for me to fear them. It's kind of been a progressive thing, but it really more so just the confidence. Obviously with the training, I kind of learned what to expect as far as what main objections I'm going to come across and how to handle them, and not being afraid to, say no if I have to and keep to my word. And it's really just kind of a progressive. Confidence is obviously the first thing, but it's really been a progressive thing. It's like second nature to me. It's become an obsession, actually.
So in other words, you're saying hire someone that's got OCD tendencies. Huh?
Yes. Hire somebody who doesn't like sleep either.
And it's actually, you brought that up, objections. Is there like a common 1 or 2 objections that you hear over and over again that are sort of just like second nature for you right now?
Yeah, still, daily. People, when they call, they just want a price, and they want to know why I'm not giving them the price and why it's not something that they can get right off the bat. We just put base prices on our website. So we're, obviously every builder is different, but our pricing is based off home site and floor plan combined per community. So when someone calls in and they're asking for the base pricing on a Bailey, they don't understand that I can't just throw a price. It's not a standard price for that floor plan across the board. There's tons of factors that go into it. And then it's super important for them to learn what they're getting for that price.
Yep.
Oh, there's definitely been quite a few people that don't even want to listen to what I have to say about why it's beneficial to sit down and learn more. And in my head, I just all right, well, I'm sorry, I'm sorry you feel that way. Unfortunately, this is our process. And, sometimes I'll even be like, I'm shocked that you don't want to know what you're getting for that price. I understand maybe the dollar amount is important to you, but I like to know, what I'm getting for that price.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
some people don't.
Case in point, some people you need to let go, because they're calling you up because they're ready to buy with somebody else, and they just want to get, hey, am I getting a good deal? And so they call you up, give me a quick price. And so when you do that, you're simply just wasting your time, and all you're doing is helping them logically confirm to go with somebody else.
Yeah.
But on the other end of things, I always like to use this terminology is that Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, if I give you a price right now, I'm making an assumption. And my assumption is either going to be too low, meaning that you're expecting something higher than what I'm going to tell you, or it's going to be too high. And I'm going to, take a potential builder partner away from you. So either way, it's wrong. And then move into here's how we get to answer that question. This is our process to get you a price.
And you can't be afraid to let them go. I know it's like it's kind of like an instinct that you assume it's a sale, so you don't want to let them go, but it still might not even be. You know what I mean? So there's just some people that you can't make happy no matter what, and you just have to be okay and willing to just let them go.
Which leads us to our next question is, what advice would you give a company that's trying to determine when to hire an OSC?
So like I said, I've been here for 6 years, so I've seen a couple different people in this position. It wasn't always a consistent position in our company either. We had one for a while, then we went without, then we had another one for a while, then we went without. It's really all about finding a good fit and making sure that the person in that position, along with your sales team, that they don't feel like they're working against each other. They have to understand, the OSC has to understand how important their position is to the sales team, and the sales team has to understand how important the OSC position is to them, vice versa. You have to work as a team, or else it's just not going to work. It's a convenient position to have too, because you're kind of filtering. The OSC serves as a filter. So like I said, with sales teams as busy as they are, when for the longest time, we were just, a call or a lead would come in and we just rotate forwarding it over to them. Well, then they're trying to filter out whether it's a good lead or not, which is taking them away, their time and attention away from the actual good qualified leads that they'd already be working with. So there was just no happy medium there. So I just think it's a good position to, have to bring in actual good qualified leads that ultimately really do end up turning into a sale.
So let me recap, because you said a lot there. Number one, make sure you're generating the qualified leads, to start with, right? Otherwise the person sits there and you're sort of setting them up for failure. Yep. Number two, you have to set up a culture where the on-site salespeople are working together with the OSC.
Exactly.
In other words, it's a team member. And I always tell my clients that are considering this, I said, look, the on-site salespeople should look at you almost like an assistant, in that you're doing all the qualification work and all the kind of the heavy lifting up front, and whatever comes from you, I should be able to convert real quickly, almost like a realtor lead, where you've got a realtor with a ready, well-enabled buyer, and they bring them in, and you could have a high probability of conversions.
Exactly.
And then number three, it sounds like just finding someone with the right fit. It sounds like you kind of almost live the job. I mean, if you're on 8 to 8, Monday through Sunday, like you said, I think you said it's the word obsession. It's like an obsession where you get this lead. So I want to ask you a follow-up question to that. From the time you get a lead, about how long do you try, how much time does it take from the time you receive a lead until you actually make your first follow-up on average, or what do you shoot for?
Under a minute is, sometimes I'll even, have a little competition with myself, because obviously the CRM we use, everything's time-stamped from when that lead comes in to when I first communicate with them. And there's a ton of statistics behind it to prove it. Different trainings, their ultimate, they say under 5 minutes, would be ideal. In my opinion, they're right there. They're in front of their computer. They're on their phone. They're waiting to hear. So the faster you get them is less chance for any other builder that they're probably also shopping at the same time to get on the phone with them, because now you have their time and attention. So I mean, immediate if it allows me.
If it allows you immediate, and I'm assuming what I found too is if you can get to them and they're still on your website, then that's the best part, because then you can start navigating them to different plans or communities, that sort of thing, and engaging them and hopefully converting them.
Exactly.
Anything else? I mean, great talk here. That's kind of the last question that we have. And if you have a question right now, please type it in. I don't see anything right now, so we must have been a good job. But anything else that you would give to any builder that's, considering, hiring in OSC?
And it's not just because I do the job, because like I said, I was here for about 4.5 years before. It just makes sense, which sounds so cliche to say, but when you have someone that's dedicated in the position and, understands what a good qualified lead is and can get them over to your sales team as quickly as possible, you're essentially handing over a qualified, ready to go lead. So it just, like I said, it just makes sense to have somebody who can do that legwork for your sales team so that they can focus solely on selling and signing contracts, not having to do, the busy work of making sure they're qualified and taking the time and getting them over for a pre-approval. They can focus on the selling aspect of it and have someone else, doing the qualifying part, which is, it's either going to go one way or another. You're either going to be qualified or you're not going to be qualified.
And you have a very specific skill set too, which is going to be different and unique than an on-site salesperson.
Yeah, you have to have that nurturing, like a nurturing personality versus sales personality. It's been talked about hey, what are your thoughts on potentially moving up to selling? That's not just because I can qualify a lead and, I can go through all this. I like the nurturing part of it where they feel like they can come to me with their questions and that I'm not, all right, well, are you ready for this? And are you ready for that? They know that they can come to me. And it's so funny. We talk about it with our sales team. There'll be some people that they're already moved on and they're already scheduled and working with a salesperson, but they're still calling me or reaching out to me hey, how about this? Just because, sometimes I feel like I'm kind of like their cushion. And, then our sales team will be like, why didn't they just call or text me? I'm like, I guess I'm just more loving than you. I don't know. It's just the right fit and the right person in that position really does make all the difference for converting those leads over.
I was just thinking that you, in your other life, you've worked as a nanny for a long time too. So I guess tell everyone, look for somebody that's got nanny experience.
Yeah.
And bring them on.
Look for somebody who's crazy to still do both too.
Yeah, right. To do both. Very, very much so. Very much so. Well, Sarah, it's been wonderful talking to you again, and thank you so much for sharing everything with us today. And hey, if you want to get started, if you to helping to convert online leads, I have a brand new course that I'm just offering today, first time out, and I've got a tutorial for you, which is called "Make Your Phone Ring" with my 3 cut and paste email templates, and it turns an online lead into an appointment. And Sarah will tell you that when you're dealing with 30 to 50 new leads a week, she does a lot of templated follow-up, and you got to get somebody to find something that they, number one, open it, number 2, read it, and number 3, respond to it. And so that's what these templates are all about. So you can grab that link. It's in the comments section on Facebook or on YouTube, and you can go ahead and start downloading that. It's completely free. So for my brothers and sisters in Christ, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all. Thank you again, Sarah, and we will see you next week for Coach's Corner. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rick.